but I did have moments with him, and then I had that one. Thank God I had that experience where I actually assisted him in class. Where he would, and that's big for a dancer. And you don't realize those things when a teacher of that caliber that means so much to you says, "Come here, I want you to do my steps," and then they say, "Wow, I love the way you look doing my stuff." It's like, it was mind blowing. So I feel like I got to do what I wanted because he was one of those people I really wanted to work with.
Yeah.
But I never got the real working experience. But I did get to dance for him, with him, and do his movement. So it was life changing.
Yeah, of course. Your bio says you got kicked by Madonna. What was that?
Yeah, I sure did. Well, I was up to the end for the very final callback for the Truth or Dare tour.
Oh.
Which was the Blonde Ambition. And so the last callback, I had been flown in because I was back up for Deb, and they had the same lawyers. And so I was on the road with Deborah, and they called and said, "Can he get into the audition?" And they said, "Yes, we'll fly him in for the final callback." They flew me in for the final callback. There was like 20 guys left in the whole room. She came in, guns blazing, said like a bunch of curse words that you're not allowed to say, and looked at me and said, "You weren't here for any of this," so because they had already learned a bunch of combinations and I wasn't there. And she said, "Sit down." So I sat, and she said, "Watch." And then they ran Hanky Panky. She said, they ran it once. And she looked at me and she said, "You think you know it?" And I said, I know it. And I got up on my feet all cocky, and we started the number that I had only watched once. And we started doing 1, 2, 3, kick, 2, 2, 3, kick. And I went the wrong way, and she went bam and kicked me. And I was like, oh. But then it happened again, and the second time she did it on purpose because I didn't go the wrong. I did get to kick her back. And years later, he actually remembered me from it and said, she didn't hire me, and it was I think very political. The reason she didn't really like Deb at the time, and she knew I was dancing backup for her.
Oh.
But years later, we met at a Vanilla Ice concert, and Deborah said, "Well, this is my backup dancer, Buddy," and she said, "Oh, I know Buddy," and she went and gave me a little wink. I was like, "Oh my God, she remembers."
That's pretty funny.
So that was fun, yeah. But like I said, she was one of those hard. She was hard. Oh my gosh, But I loved every minute of it because she was Madonna at that time. You know what I mean? She was Madonna, and the whole world was bowing down to her, and so she kind of was everything I wanted her to be, even though she was mean. She was this grand persona, and I thought, all right, this is showbiz.
That's right.
I love it.
Got to express yourself.
Yeah.
Well, you also suffered another injury, according to your bio, a broken nose from none other than Sandy Duncan. What happened there?
He busted my face. I was doing a show called That's Christmas. This was in between Starlight Express and Miss Saigon. I got hired by Jerry Mitchell in Manhattan, New York City. They needed a replacement, and they called and said, "Can you come?" I went down. They needed a tumbler. I flipped. Jerry said, "You're hired." The next day, I was flown out to Chicago, and we started rehearsal. And Sandy was the star, but she wasn't there for the first 2 weeks of rehearsal because she had broke her ankle in another show. So we were at a stand-in, and the first opening number, if you know any Jerry Mitchell stuff, it's very, very athletic and very ta-da! And the ending of the first number, Sandy was supposed to go up into a lift, and I had one of her feet, and one of the other dancers had the other foot, and she stands up like a cheerleader, and then we do a basket toss. So we were rehearsing it with the understudy, or the stand-in, and It was fine. And then Sandy came in, and the first day we ran the number, she knew every step. It was wild because she hadn't obviously been watching video or being taught, because she knew every step. And we went in for the end, and she went up. But when she came down, she went boom and put her elbows out, and her elbow came right on my knee, busted my nose, and blood everywhere. It was fabulous. But you know what happened then? I wound up getting her. It was a Christmas show, so I wound up getting her so they took me to a doctor, the hospital. They did X-rays, and it was broken, whatever. But I went right back into rehearsal. So I got her as the Secret Santa, and I just happened to pick her.
Wow.
And so all week long, I was giving her gifts. And then for her big gift, I got my X-ray, and I had it framed, and I wrote in big marker on the front of the framed picture. I said, "Thanks for the big break." And it's a picture of my broken nose.
That's a good one.
From what I hear, she still has it. So that makes me feel good.
Wow. That's pretty wild. I saw her in a show at Rockefeller, at Radio City. I think it was called 5678 Dance. It was sometime in the 80s, I think. But it was an awesome show. I mean, she was one amazing performer.
Amazing. She's another one that I worked with for about 4 months and learned so much from her. She is a powerhouse. Like I said, she came in with a broken foot. She learned the show without, I don't know how she did it. Yeah, she broke my nose. We kept going, and it was literally, she was like a powerhouse. Little teeny tiny little Duncan. And it was her and Darlene Love with 2 stars. It was so much fun, and I learned so much from the two of them.
Well, you've certainly done a lot. Now, were there ever any major setbacks or something that made you question whether you wanted to keep on going? Did that ever happen to you?
Oh, gosh, all the time.
How do you push forward?
Yeah, I mean, that happens to every artist, I believe. I think we all go through that, am I doing the right thing? Doing the right choice, following all of these, crazy dreams that I've had. And it's like anything else. I believe now that you live long enough to realize that it's not just an artist's life. That's, I think, every life. And, you get to certain ages, and it's just every one of us. I think even my friends who are doctors, or my friends who are, station attendant, whatever they do, I think everybody at one point goes, what am I doing? Did I make the right choice? And then little things remind you. Like recently I was, questioning everything, especially now with pandemic. I'm like, what am I doing? And then teaching on Zoom and doing whatever I could from home, I all of a sudden thinking like, oh my God, this is awful. I start getting these little messages on social media. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. You have no idea what you're getting me through. Mm. And like, oh, and then the next day you think, what am I doing? This is like, I'm in my living room and I'm teaching to nobody. And then all of a sudden, ding, you get a little message. You have no idea what your class did for me today. Mm. Like, oh, okay, great. And so those little tiny connections is what I always look for and I believe the universe speaks to you when in those times, when you're doubting and questioning and all of that stuff, just listen. Just like get quiet for a minute and listen, because look, Alexa, stop.
There's one right there.
Alexa or the universe will talk to you.
Wow. Little validations, dagnabbit, you silly computer. No. Little validations, we need them.
I like little validations. That's me.
Yes. What is Bookend Baldies?
Bookend Baldies. Okay, so that is my podcast with and our brand with he's the other backup dancer for Debbie Gibson. We both look pretty much the same, only he's 10 years younger. But we're both 2 white bald guys. And someone said, oh, yeah, you're the Bookends. And we just immediately ran with it and said, oh, my God, we're the Bookend Baldies. And we started doing a podcast about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Our tagline is all nonsense, all fun, all in. There's nothing life-changing about what we do at all. It's complete fun, madness, nonsense. We don't talk politics. We don't talk life-changing things. We talk fun and pop culture and crazy wackiness and what we're listening to and, buzz stuff, what people are talking about. And it's really just meant to make you laugh. And it's because the two of us, when we danced together, we have so much fun that we were like, someone said, you guys need to brand this and bring it to the masses. And so that's really where it came from.
Oh, so you're a podcaster too. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Do you do the show weekly or?
It's not. It's
whenever.
We have about 60 episodes in the can, but that's over 3.5 years. So the first year it was like 13 episodes for the year. The second year we did a bunch more because we were together for so much more. And then now it's been kind of lagging because of what we're doing. We did one through Zoom and then released only the recording. Mm-hmm. But we found it wasn't the same because it's about our rapport.
Yeah.
And it's about us being together. So it's been a while. It's probably been 3 months since we've released one. But like I said, we do have so many there in the can that we're finding now new listeners going back and starting from the beginning.
Yeah, I got to take a listen here.
So and like I said, believe me, you're not going to learn. I don't think you're going to learn anything, but you might laugh a little bit. Like it's silly. It's very silly.
Okay.
Take Eddie will all of a sudden say, "Okay, we're going to take the Cosmo sex quiz," and I'll be like, "What?" And we do things like that.
Why not? Yeah, that's your show. You can do what you want. That's the beauty of the podcast. You can just put it out there.
Yeah.
Now, I also see that you're into photography. You're doing some...
Yeah. That started as a hobby. That was just a hobby that someone said, you have a great eye. And I think it's just my like being a choreographer and just being an aesthetic person. Whenever I see something, I want it to make sense. And so immediately I took to it and just started mostly doing landscape and sunset, and because of where I live, beach, and birds, a lot of wildlife. But then it recently has, because I work with so many kids, someone said, can you do some headshots? Can you do some? And so now it's kind of melded its way into that as well. And before you know it, I had a side hustle.
A side hustle. Uh-huh. And it's still in the arts, which is great, That's
Yeah. I still feel creative. Yeah.
Did you ever have a plan B in your life, or did you know dance is it?
No, I never. I was one of those people. I used to always say, if you have something to fall back on, then you're going to fall back. Which now I don't know if I feel really I don't know if I want to tell that to my young kids anymore. You know what I mean? I think because I'm mature now and I feel like that. But that's what I used to say to myself. From the time I was a kid, I used to say, no, I'm not going to fall back. If I give myself something to fall back on, I'm going to fall back. So I just kept charging on. I think a lot of that is idealistic, and a lot of it is stars in your eyes. But if you can get through life doing that, and that's the kind of person that I am, I think, it worked for me. You know what I mean? So the plan B, no, I probably never really had one.
But you made it over 30 years doing this, so you're doing something right. For sure.
Thank you, God.
All right, we're almost getting to the ends here, and these are some of the questions I ask everybody. Do you think we all have an artist inside of us?
I do. I believe everybody sees things in their own way. I don't think each one of us absolutely looks at the same thing and sees the same thing. So if you can get in touch with that, when I look at certain things, I see not only the color, I see the pattern, I see I can see what it feels like. I can close my eyes and make it myself feel something. I think every person has that in them. And then if you can tap into that and express it to other people, that's where the artistry comes. So I do believe that each one of us has it. I think it takes a little bit of time sometimes for people to find it in them. But I do also believe that once you do find it, it's easy to hone it and tap into it and just keep getting better.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, it almost segues into the next segment. What advice would you give for someone wanting to get into dance, choreography?
Here's what here's what I say. Take as much class as you can from as many people as you can,